Welcome to Useful Idiots Monday Morning. I am Katie Halper, here with, of course.
Oh, Matt Taibbi.
Oh, yes. Matt Taibbi. Matt O'Taibbi. You are part Irish, right?
Yes, although there's no I, like there's no O in my name.
Right.
Not even on my mother's. It's obviously it's not O'Taibbi.
Right.
But it's also not O Whalen on the other side either. So.
Got it. Well, yeah. I mean, I was just working with the material. I was basically trying to cover for you because of the O. Oh, Matt Taibbi. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So it's Monday morning, right? And people know
morning.
it's a Monday. It's Monday morning, which is when we review the Sunday morning shows and we watch them. So you don't have to, and you can just, watch us. Hopefully, riff on them. Talk about the important lessons we get from watching them. It's a very
and also
the
occasionally amusing facial expressions that they make.
Oh yeah, we got a bunch of those this week. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a few of those this week. So there was a little bit of shifting away from Afghanistan this week.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, there was
toward some other topics, but I don't know. What should we start with, Katie?
I mean, might as well, since we mentioned that keep people on their toes, keep people interested. Since we said shifting away from Afghanistan, why don't we start with something that mentions Afghanistan?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah. So Meet the Press. This is Yamiche Alcindor, who famously asked Bernie Sanders if it was sexist for him to not drop out during the primary.
One of your favorite people.
One of my faves, yeah. Also blamed the shooting on him when that crazy person shot some people, including Scalise, who did not die, and was a Bernie bro. Anyway, we should do a piece on that guy. Who was that guy who shot a bunch of people, killed some people, who was like obsessed with Hillary Clinton?
That doesn't narrow it down in America a whole lot.
You're right. Sorry, yeah, you're right. Fair point. And by the way, happy Labor Day, everyone.
Oh, is it Labor Day?
Yeah.
That's right. It is Labor Day. Happy Labor Day, everybody.
Yeah.
HLD. Yeah. Are we getting paid time and a half for the holiday? I hope so.
Yeah. I think so.
Let's pay ourselves time and a half.
Yeah, we'll pay ourselves time and a half. Yeah.
That's a good idea. All right.
So good reminder. Please support the show at usefulidiots.substack.com.
Yeah, and support it a time and a half.
Time and a half, right? If you're doing it today,
more than you would have normally.
Yes.
So let's look at
your bad on labor issues.
This one, because this is one of your favorite people, and it's a solid performance, I think.
It is, yeah.
43, 44, 46. We had him at 49, and it was clear 2 weeks ago that he was still going down.
Can we stop just for a second?
Yeah.
Perhaps this is bottom.
Can we just stop for a sec? So this whole situation with Biden's approval rating, it's just really interesting the way that this story is being reported. Just off the top, it's kind of funny because it initially went down a bunch, and then there were a bunch of gloating stories in the conservative press about how it went down. Then it kind of hit a plateau at about 48, 49, because he had been remarkably consistent. Like, no matter what happened, he was at 53 basically his entire early stretch, right? And then it kind of stuck at 49, and then there were a bunch of stories in the kind of blue state media saying, see, like, his floor, Joe Biden's floor at 49 is 6 points higher than Donald Trump's highest point during his presidency. And there were a whole bunch of gloating stories about that. Now it's kind of gone down even more. And so there's been like a re-examination of what that means again, rather than just look at the numbers and say, well, this happens and he's here now and that's what it is. They keep trying to draw global sort of conclusions out of this when there aren't any to draw, really. But anyway, let's go ahead.
Yeah, let's start from the very beginning of the clip if possible. Oh, you want me to do it, or Wilson, you can?
43, 44, 46. We had him at 49, and it was clear 2 weeks ago that he was still going down, that he hadn't hit bottom. Perhaps this is bottom here. Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem?
Well, I'll say this. These numbers underscore a real fact, which is that presidents try to create agendas, but that real life events and circumstances actually define their agendas. And here you had a president who took such fierce criticism over his withdrawal from Afghanistan, plus the idea that he declared independence of the virus or something close to it, talking about the idea of a return to normalcy on July 4th, only to then have Americans say we have to put our masks back on, we have to see children have surging rates of COVID. So this is the problem that the president is faced with, is this idea that he has been talking about solving these problems. He ran on this idea of being a clear-headed, experienced president. And the White House is saying, we're trying to do this. We understand our number one job is still COVID. But the American people are looking and saying, okay, all of this experience means what exactly for my lived experience? Add to that, of course, the economics of this, right? Yeah. We have to remember that the economy is the thing that is driving this. And our original sin of this pandemic was polarization and lies. And that is leading people not to get the vaccine. That's also leading people to die of the virus and take dewormers. And now the president and White House officials tell me that it really is about explaining to people that science evolves, explaining to people that challenges are part of the job. And then these poll numbers are really challenging for him.
Wait.
I like this. Lightheaded. Yeah.
I didn't understand that last part. She was like, it's the economics, and then all of a sudden she's talking about unvaccinated people and people taking ivermectin, and what did that have to do with the economics?
What's weird is that she's kind of it's a bit all over the place, the narrative, right? Because first it's like president's trying to make agenda, but it's circumstances, but then very much part of the media narrative, of course, is that Biden made a big mistake, right? In pulling out. I mean, it's a critique that we've critiqued on this show, obviously. So it's like, and then, but what makes it even more cynical is pretending that they're just reporting as opposed to editorializing, right? So it's like she's basically saying that it's the circumstances, but the same media is also saying that it's his fault. So it's just kind of inconsistent. And then she's going back to blaming his positions on COVID. Like she's critiquing his actions on COVID, which
no. And actually, that's what she wasn't doing. What she was saying is she was kind of saying that he's being unfairly tagged with criticism for saying that that we were
independent.
We were independent on July 4th, and then all of a sudden people said we started having to put our masks back on, as if that were not the result of there being a resurgence of the disease,
as opposed to policy. His policy.
As opposed, well, I mean, look, you're going to get killed.
Transcript.
You're going to get killed as a politician if you declare victory and then victory is not forthcoming, which is what happened with the COVID thing. I mean, I don't think it's his fault. I don't like.
Yeah, he didn't have to gloat though as much as he did, I would say.
Well, look, the whole government apparatus kind of did that. The CDC, issued those press releases in the spring talking about, returning to normalcy and all these other things because, the graph was looking like it was headed in the right direction. Yeah. And then as pandemics do, we had a resurgence, and it's beginning to look like we're going to have those over and over and over again. And this is like a fact of, our lives for the foreseeable future. So he gets dinged for that. I think that's totally, it's appropriate that he gets dinged for that. I think,
he should have been a bit more circumspect.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if he had gotten up there and said, look, it looks good now, but we have to remember
folks,
you still got to continue to worry and all those other things. And
well, also when he said, if you're not wearing a mask and you're vaccinated, you're dumber than I thought, or you're not as smart as I thought. It's such a stupid thing to say.
Oh, well, that whole thing. And we can or cannot get into the whole culture war aspect of this, which is blown up into a big media story that happened over the weekend that we probably don't want to get into. But
we'll get in. We're not turning away from it, folks. We're just going to get into it on Wednesday because it didn't make it into the this week's Useful Idiots, which you guys get on Friday.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But that whole thing. But that's not. Again, that's not a not Biden's fault thing. Like you can't just suddenly point to a whole bunch of people who are not getting vaccinated and say, well, that's why the economy isn't good or whatever it is she's trying to say there. But the whole president's it's guns don't kill people, people kill people. It's the same kind of thinking, like this whole idea of presidents don't cause problems, circumstances cause problems, which is what she's saying, which is an absurd take on the whole thing.
I mean, there's definitely a combination, right? Like it is a bad luck to be president during COVID.
Yes, of course, but but again.
But yes, he didn't. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to convince me that Biden makes mistakes. Obviously, I mean, we should have been paying people to stay home.
Right. I mean, there's a whole host of stuff that you can criticize them for.
Host, really? Wow. There you went there.
I did. It's pretty hard not to use pandemic language. There's a lot of words. Environment,
a lot of words. Environment,
production,
right? Viral load. Just kidding.
Load. Yeah, exactly.
Take a viral load off, Annie.
Yeah. Also, just the whole thing with her, like, do we have to be 100% shilling for the Democratic Party every time we open our mouths? Is that our job?
Not our job. No, her job. Yes.
It's just, it must get exhausting, like why not go work for the DNC if that's what you're going to do for a living? I
mean, it's more fun to do it you got to have an inside outside strategy. I still can't get over what she said. I just can't get over it. And then when she said the thing, what do you have to say to women who say it's sexist for you to not drop out? And also she also like tweeted this weird anti-Semitic, like low-key, fairly high-key anti-Semitic guy who was like yelling at Bernie at an event at the Apollo about like Zionists and real estate. It was so bad. And it was totally the type of person who you should never retweet without putting it into context that it's problematic and like retweeting it on its own. Although I'm curious how you would have handled that as an actual real journalist, Matt, because it's like, how do you retweet someone who's saying something in like anti-Semitic? You don't want to make it a total like referendum on. Well, actually, you probably do want to make it. Anti-Semitism is not good. Hot take. But how do you like quote someone who's saying something that you disagree with in a way that makes it clear that you're not co-signing it?
I mean, depending on the situation, you either do or you don't. If it's in an editorial, you say, "Well, here's what this idiot said."
Right.
But if it's in a news story,
it wasn't a news story. She was like tweeting it out.
Well, I mean,
but it was like, it wasn't like using the N-word or saying like Jews run the media. It was more subtle. So I feel like it required some explanation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, normally you want to contextualize a little bit. If you want to make sure people aren't going to associate you with the comment, it's probably good to put in a little distancing in there, like according to this person,
right? Despite the fact that Bernie Sanders has no relatives running real estate or something in the real estate industry,
right? Yeah,
which is what
No, she's not a fan, but
no.
I don't even think it's with her. I don't even think it's organic dislike of Bernie. I think it's just more, the program, the DNC program with her is so uploaded so successfully in every cell of her body that's just how she rolls. Like she's going to be against whoever's a challenger to the party mainstream with the same ferocity, feels like to me. I don't know.
Yeah, how does it even happen?
Yeah, I mean, but the whole press is just peopled with with people like that now. I mean, so whatever. But she is definitely a standard bearer on that front. She's a pioneer.
She is a pioneer. Yeah. She called the guy who interrupted Bernie Sanders a community activist who was asking about gentrification. It wasn't that at all. He was asking about real estate and Zionism. Anyway. So shout out to Yamiche. I'll put in.
Yamiche. Yeah.
I wrote a piece on that actually.
Yes, I remember you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's made some appearances on Useful Idiots over the years.
Yeah.
So what else do we have this week? Should we?
Okay, what's next? What's next in our order? Let's see. Hold on, I'm just bringing this in there.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm opening I just have to go back in the doc.
Should we do Spencer or?
We could do Spencer, or do you want to take a short content-free break and just watch Chuck Todd with some good?
Oh yeah.
Let's yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, let's do that one. I like that one.
We have two like palate cleansers that don't really have. Let's see. Let's see if viewers can guess why I'm playing this Chuck Todd thing. Why we're playing it.
Welcome back. It's data download time. This week we saw once again the issue of climate change is not a hypothetical. It is here and it is deadly. And with this year's new census numbers, we're learning where people are choosing to move is going to mean that more and more Americans are going to be in places where climate change is having a pretty devastating impact. Let me show you where our movements are. Obviously, the fastest growing cities in America, look at it. They're in the Southwest and in the West. And you already can see where we're headed. The number one thing that brings up is the issue of water and drought issues, as you can see here. Some of the fastest growing counties are in places that are basically water stressed. We already know with the Colorado River and some restrictions are going there, yet the fastest growing areas are in Phoenix. Are they going to be able to have enough water? Then you've got the issue of rising heat issues. Well, guess what? Some of the fastest growing places in the Southwest also are going to be places with where we're going to have some extreme heat. And we already saw what happened with extreme cold weather in the Texas power grid. That's just going to have more implications there. Then, of course, we saw this week what happens when you get extreme rainfall in the Northeast and whether the infrastructure there can hold up, but where you have some fast growing populations in places that are also getting extreme rainfall, whether it's in the Pacific Northwest or down here in the Texas Gulf Coast. And then, of course, where are you going to have more people in line for potentially devastating hurricanes? Those fast-growing areas in Texas and the Gulf Coast mean more people in line for that. The bottom line is this. Our population shifts in this country are going to places where we have a lot of climate-related problems.
Okay, so here's why I played this as great annoying music. I mean, what's weird about the music besides it being really, it's almost, there's a nice dramatic shift that happens right as he's saying people are going to be moving, but like, it's such a perfect metaphor for the kind of sanitized, antiseptic sugarcoating of climate change that we see. Like, it's such a casual song. It's such a casual, kind of upbeat, song. That's
interesting. I took something completely different from that.
Oh, what do you take from it?
Well, you're right. Now that I think about it, he might as well have been doing the weather, right?
Yeah.
And then the whole purpose of the weather in traditional news segments is to take people's minds off serious issues,
right?
So that you can sell commercials to them. Like, that's why the weatherman is always funny. That's why he's always cracking jokes and and all that stuff. But there's also the subtext of that, which is all these people who are moving to these places that are kind of red state strongholds are going to burn up and die of thirst, and good for them. You know what I mean? There's that kind of like Jerry Falwell-esque, you're dying in Katrina because you allowed homosexuality kind of a thing. Like, that kind of moral majority attitude is a little bit becoming part of the presentation, but the delivery with that feather light touch is kind of funny.
Yeah. By the way, Kameshwari Kate asked, will Charles Jacko be in Useful Idiots? Let's just say we can't answer that, but the fact that we can't answer that should tell you something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like the graphic. So go ahead. Yes.
No, you go.
I like the graphics on that too.
Yeah.
It's because they're piling more and more onto every segment now. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to show a clip of one of my favorite things of all time,
sure.
which is Brass Eye. It's just an old British show that from the 90s that predicted a lot of the trends in modern television, among other things, the excessive amount of graphics at the beginnings of every segment.
We may have to do this on a separate stream because it's going to demonetize us if we
really?
play it. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because it's going to be copywritten.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to do a Substack only thing where we play all these things that are copywritten.
All right. Well, I mean, the show's off the air.
I don't think that matters because someone owns it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, never mind then.
Yeah, good reason to become. If you become Substack only, if you become paying Substack subscribers, we'll do a monthly. Wish we could have shown this on Useful Idiots mashup. By the way, it is infuriating to see how the MSM is now approaching climate change as a human interest story. Where were they when there was still something we could do to stop it? Which is that music is human interest story music. That's really what it is.
It's cat and tree music.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's really, it's just, if anyone out there can do this, like isolate the track so we can replace the music, that would be great to do. We could put in some like scary songs, some blaxploitation film songs, I mean, in that style, obviously. I'm not going to be a hypocrite.
Right.
Yeah.
Something much more menacing.
Yeah.
Like if it was a graphic sequence that just had people like hurling themselves off buildings or their heads exploding like in Scanners or something like that might be more appropriate. Feels like
right. That would be a better thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a better pundit than a weatherman. I mean, sorry, he's a better weatherman than he's a pundit. Well, that's true. And someone said that they're from Ireland, and it's not uncommon. Where is it? To have here in Ireland and elsewhere, it's not unusual to have 3 news stories in a row and explicitly mention climate change in each one, and it's never upbeat. Yeah. So
well, this is America, though. We're an industrial power, so you can just suck on your climate change as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, exactly.
We're about making that paper, baby.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But his weatherman energy was good, I have to say.
It is good.
As a person, as a child, I used to play with the green screen at my dad's office in between segments. Like I would do the whole thing where
that's really cute.
You look at the monitor, and you try to put your hand up for the high pressure system that was coming in from the north. Temperatures dropping into the teens in the evening. That whole. Do
you have any footage? Did anyone take photos of it?
No, really I don't think so. But it takes I think being a good weatherman is a great TV skill. I don't think it's an accident that a lot of good TV people started off as weatherman, like David Letterman, for instance.
Oh, I didn't know that about him.
Yeah. He had a job once, and I may be lying, but I'm pretty sure he lost his job because he predicted hailstones the size of canned hams.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so like people were afraid about that. So, all right. So that was.
By the way, breaking news: Katie's going to ESPN as national sports ball analyst.
Yes, that would be great.
That would be great. Yeah.
So, all right. Who's next?
Okay, who's next? Next, we got. Let's go over to the other end of the spectrum to watch some Chris Wallace on Fox News. Excuse me, on Sunday.
Fox News Sunday.
Fox News Sunday, yeah. Just watch.
Again from Fox News.
Pause this for a second. Just like we were focusing on the actual music, so more than the content. This is also kind of an aesthetic thing versus content, but you have to listen to the content to be interested. Whatever. I'm gonna stop. You guys will see. All right. Just notice his expression.
And hello again from Fox News in Washington.
The bell.
More than 60 people are dead as the country faces a long recovery from Hurricane Ida. The devastation stretching from the Gulf to the Northeast. The storm disabling the power grid across Louisiana and creating miserable conditions for people facing high heat and humidity. And in the Northeast, folks are still digging out from massive flooding. In a moment, we'll speak with the person in charge of the federal response, FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell. But first, let's bring in Brian Yennis on the ground in Mullica Hill, New Jersey. Brian.
Okay, you see that weird smile he has when he's introducing him? Like, just go back a couple seconds. First of all, at the very beginning, he has a weird smile. But then when he introduces Brian or Ryan, he like kind of forgets where he's talking about, where in New Jersey, and then he has this coy, almost like flirtatious smile.
Well, wait, can we?
Yes.
There's also the Bell and Rocky opening. Can we start with that at the very beginning?
And hello again from Fox News in Washington.
Is that ominous, or is it like let's play? What does that suggest? What do you think?
I think it's just like drama is coming.
Drama is coming. But then look at that face. That's
a
perfect facial expression, though. He has this kind of low-key smile the whole time. Let's see. Let's play from the beginning.
There's a little bit of a separated at birth with Mitch McConnell with him too.
Yeah, like if Mitch McConnell could move his face.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And hello again from Fox News in Washington. More than 60 people are dead as the country faces a long recovery from Hurricane
60
Ida.
People dead. Like,
I know,
he's just resting a laugh.
From the Gulf to the Northeast.
And then watch when he introduces the guy.
And in the Northeast, folks are still digging out from massive flooding. In a moment, we'll speak with the person in charge of the federal response, FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell. But first, let's bring in Brian Yennis on the ground in Mullica Hill, New Jersey. Brian.
Look at that coy passing to Brian. Anyway, the Undertaker bell and WWF. Thanks for this, by the way. I don't know. What do you think? I just thought it was an interesting, weird expression, like coy, flirtatious, forgetting where in New Jersey it was taking place.
It was almost like he, I don't even want to know where. I don't want to verbalize where my mind was going with that. But he seemed to be having. There was some secondary diversion going on somewhere with him. As he was delivering that news. The Botox face thing. Like, look, we can't speculate about that. That's
right. That's just true. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, but someone is saying that he always looks like that. Always. Did I freeze or did Matt freeze?
Matt froze.
Matt froze right as we were talking about Botox face. Let's see. Well, take note of Biden's Botox wearing off. Let's see, Matt, if you can hear this, maybe refresh. It's kind of funny. Good timing, right? Let's see. Should we keep going? I mean, I don't want to go forward without my partner in crime. And the timing is pretty funny. Let's see. Hold on. Matt froze in full Wallace face. Actually, Wilson, can you throw up the Wallace thing again? Just let's get a side by side of Matt's face and his face. Okay. You just missed it, the more comparable one. Yeah, that's kind of a good. Now when Taibbi comes back. Jiggle the wire, Matt. Matt, we got to get you some. In fact, Google Nest. Why don't you sponsor the show? Oh, we don't like Google.
And hello.
That should be played because of Matt's losing connection. Wallace makes me throw up. Katie, does that count? Sure. Yeah. Thanks for this, by the way. Matt, hang on your computer. Okay, he's back.
It was weird.
Yeah, weird. You froze right when we were talking about his I hate this. That I don't like that you can't see the Matt unplugged to get a beer, someone said. But right when we're talking about his Botox face, it's kind of funny. Someone asked if you have a cold, and someone else asked if your basement got flooded.
I don't have a basement. But I do have a little bit of something. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's COVID though. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try to avoid that. Yeah, that was good on his part. We have a similar sort of. Should we do let's do something content-ish first.
Okay, I think and I think if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, is it the face, the other weirdo face?
Yeah, let's do the abort.
Okay, so let's set it up though with some, I think, for it to make sense. We're going down southwest. Let's do the clips 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Sunday morning. Throwback to
are going to be.
He has no vid. That's funny. He has no vid. That's what you have, not COVID. All right.
Okay. Wow.
Kristen, it does appear that a lot of states are going to be at least studying the Texas bill, trying to pass it themselves.
And again, this is that whole rule of unintended consequences, right? I think the structure of this law, by
this
sort
is
of
the
pitting
abortion
neighbor versus
ban
neighbor,
in Texas,
creates a precedent if it winds up being upheld that says you can pass a law, not that says you can sue your neighbor over abortion, but that you could sue your neighbor over anything that Republicans or Democrats in the legislature don't like. I think that is, you're even seeing a number of sort of pro-life activists very wary to come out in support of this bill itself because of that very mechanism of pitting neighbor versus neighbor on this.
Okay, so first of all, her expression is hilarious. Heidi, what's her name? Heidi Heitkamp. What is it?
Yeah.
Look at her. If you go back right when you see her, she's like freaking out, understandably. Hold on, let me find it. Hold on, let me try to.
States are going to be at least.
Right? I think the structure of this law, by sort of pitting neighbor versus neighbor, creates a precedent if it winds up being upheld that says you can pass a law, not that says you can sue your neighbor over abortion, but that you could sue your neighbor over anything that Republicans or Democrats in the.
Look at that face. Okay, that's the face of a Republican / probably, I think she's pro-choice person getting freaked out, understandably, about a very scary law ban.
Mm-hmm. Legislature don't like.
She looks pissed off.
I think that is, you're even seeing a number of sort of pro-life activists very wary to come out in support of this bill itself.
So this is about the abortion ban, which is really, okay, so that's an important thing to listen to, right? So you're saying pro-life, which I don't really think that that's a good term, but sure, pro-life until it's born. Activists some of them are not down with, like, don't want to associate with this, and we'll get into why that is in a second. Here is, can we play the Heidi response to this? That's the next one.
Has done is ignited a political debate for the first time, because for generations after generations since Roe v. Wade, women have accepted that this is settled law. For the first time, we've seen an earthquake among the activists, among people who are concerned about reproductive rights, saying this could happen. Now, all of a sudden, we are at a spot where this could happen. And I think the reason why you saw Senator Cassidy duck this issue is it's politically very dangerous for the Republican Party to have to explain to a suburban mother why her daughter, who was raped, 3 months ago, no longer has a choice. And so I think that politically, the reason why you don't see the Republicans talking about this as a major pro-life victory is because politically it's extraordinarily dangerous, and it has dominated the discussion in a week that should have been pretty good for the Republican Party.
Kristen.
Okay. So now let's play that clip that she's responding to of Butch Cassidy basically being asked about this abortion bill by George Snuffleupagus.
So the law is being enacted right now. And let's talk about the underlying law, let's talk about the substance of the underlying law. It gives private citizens the right to enforce this law. It actually tasks private citizens with enforcing this law. And the Wall Street Journal came out against that this week. They said an editorial calling it the Texas abortion law blunder, saying the law sets an awful precedent that conservatives should hate. Could California allow private citizens to sue individuals for hate speech? Or New York deputize private lawsuits against gun owners? So setting aside the standing issue, what do you think of the underlying substance of the law?
I think the Supreme Court will swat it away once it comes to them in an appropriate manner. If it is as terrible as people say it
I
is,
agree.
it'll be destroyed by the Supreme Court. But to act like this is an assault upon Roe v. Wade is, again, something the president's doing, I think, to distract from his other issues. And it is clearly not an assault upon the... By the way, I'm pro-life. But just to say, the facts are this is about standing, about nothing else, and the Supreme Court will decide how to affect standing before all these other things play out.
You don't think it signals that the court is prepared to undo Roe v. Wade now?
You know, so we can always talk about eventualities. We can always talk about theoreticals. It makes good fodder. But I'm kind of a guy who's in the middle of a state in which 700,000 people don't have electricity, in which we've got a disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, and the administration's pushing a $3.5 trillion bill, which will be to inflation what the withdrawal was to Afghanistan. Now, if you know, in my mind, I don't think about theoreticals. I think about those things that are before me, and that's what I focus on.
Is that where the evil face was?
No, we'll get into that later. Let's talk about the substance. Yeah. So you okay? Well, my take on this is that yes, this is a more serious like shot across the bow of Roe v. Wade than we've had in a while.
Yeah.
However, I don't think it's gonna pass for all the reasons that are outlined. Like, I think that standing issue does freak out even conservatives. That they'll and look in a larger political sense. I don't think the Republican Party wants to overturn Roe v. Wade ever. I think they always want to leave it out as a carrot to attract people to the polls. Like, you got to vote for us in order so that we can push for this thing. We're being held back by the evil Democrats. I think if they actually got it, I don't know. That's just my opinion is that the party itself, whose leaders are mostly kind of upper class cosmopolitan, occupy the same place as a lot of other as the Democratic Party leadership. Like they don't actually want this law to overturn the law. Has always been my impression.
I mean, I think you're right that like they definitely want, much like the Dems want to use this as a constant wedge issue and a constant fundraising tool. And we'll get into that shortly about what the Dems are doing about this or not doing about this. But I think there's some resistance, quote unquote, like resistance Republicans who fall into that camp. But I don't think like McConnell is like that. I think McConnell's like that. But he doesn't like rub shoulders with, I don't think he goes to the same dinner parties as the Democrats.
I would put him in the, he's the kind of Republican, like him or somebody like, Bob Corker or whatever, those aren't the true believer types who are the scariest within that party. Like, he's completely cynical and will do anything for a buck and has always been a tool of every corporate interests, especially in big energy, big pharma, military contracting, all that stuff. But again, I just don't think that those donors want this. It's a different kind of thing for that kind of politician. They're there to do another job. They're there to do for deregulation, handouts to companies, tax breaks, tax holidays. Like, that's their primary job. The social issues have always been for getting the plebes to the polls. And there's another kind of Republican that is a true believer and does want this, but I don't think they want this. Also the additional issue of this lawsuit business legally, it's unsupportable, I think. But it's already passed a pretty high court, so who knows?
Right, who knows? Yeah. I mean, I think that this is a pretty scary thing, but as we see, Cassidy, what state is he from?
Louisiana, I think, right? No. God, it's embarrassing that I don't know that, but
let's see. Yes, Louisiana. Yeah. Oh, it's funny. We're gonna have two Louisianans on the show, but he doesn't seem to want to associate. I mean, the fact that he had to say during his spiel. And I'm pro-life is an interesting thing because he clearly is like not. He doesn't. People. I think this is too weird and invasive a law. Not. I don't have. I mean, I don't think it's definitely going to not get. I don't think it's definitely going to get struck down by the Supreme Court. I think though that it's politically even. I think even Cassidy doesn't want to be associated with it. Maybe because he thinks it's going to lose, but I also think that it's just one of these things. Like, remember when Donald Trump got in trouble because he said that women should be, basically that abortion should be a crime? Chris Matthews asked him, like, what if like the women should be punished? And Republicans don't like saying that. They don't actually like saying that women or providers should be punished, especially the women. And he was like, yeah, of course they should, because that is the logical outcome of claiming it's a crime. And Republicans don't want to go there because they know that that's an alienating to most people, an alienating position.
Yeah.
So
Again, though, that's a perfect example because Donald Trump was also pro-choice for most of his life, and you know. What I'm saying?
He was definitely pro-choice. He's probably had like encouraged people to have abortions that for which he was responsible.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, is that he was like playing. He was trying
or
that
not.
on.
That's actually an interesting question.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're a narcissist, don't you want more of you walking around?
I guess, but if you're, I guess, and you just pay them off.
Yeah, you don't have to like care for them.
Right. Oh my God, I forgot about this quote. Do you remember this? Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all over across the country. I forgot about that.
Those were the halcyon days of W. You know, when the man and fish can coexist and all that stuff, and all the food in your family. Yeah. No, it's an interesting question. We'll see what happens. I really do think this additional standing issue, though, is going to end up getting in the way of, because that's the bill, the legal issue that's going to go up to the court is not about abortion, really. It's about the standing issue.
Yeah.
So they'll talk about that, but and the best case scenario for the anti-abortion crowd is going to be that the Texas law stands, not that they're going to create new law, outlawing abortion across the country.
Right.
Obviously, that's for pro-choice people, that would be a catastrophe in itself. But I don't see this law surviving. But we'll see. I mean, but we should also mention we got to hit Cassidy on the face.
Yeah, we got to get him on the face. Like
so,
literally hit him on the face.
Yeah,
let's hit him on the face.
Matt, can we rewind? And folks, it's at 43 seconds of this clip. You will see that he briefly, and we'll point it out to you, he briefly makes a face that I think it reveals his inner identity, his secret identity.
Yeah, 1 second before we play that, can I just highlight this as a very stupid argument? My body, my choice, vax, though. We'll get back to that later.
Okay.
It'll be destroyed by the Supreme Court. But to act like this is an
we gotta go back. Yeah.
If it is as terrible as people say it is, it'll be destroyed by the Supreme Court.
There it is.
Okay. All right. It's a little. Let's see if we can get it at the exact
court.
There it is. Okay. All right. What does that remind anybody of? Does that face remind anybody of anything? Let's see if we get any comments on out there. No. All right. All right. Well, for me, this instantly summoned just one image. Matt, can we take a look?
Vampire, the Joker, Spaz.
There we go. Right.
Mad Max, A Car Salesman, Poltergeist 2, Mr. Burns.
Oh, you know what? There is a Joker element to that.
Willem Dafoe, Lucifer, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
This is Willem Dafoe right there. That's Willem Dafoe.
That is who it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Comedic villain. Cute puppies drowning. Jack-o'-lantern.
Jaws from James Bond is not a bad one, actually. Cast 9. I don't know who that is. Who's Cast 9? Beavis or Butthead?
Yeah. Toothpaste commercial.
You mean the people who are on my...
Oh, wow. Weird.
Yeah. I would believe Bill Cassidy.
Bill Hader, actually. Bill Hader. Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, yeah, Bill Hader. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Your step-uncle Eric? That's interesting. Gary Condit. Yes. Could easily be that. No, I would buy Bill Cassidy as the Green Goblin. Like that would be his secret identity, right? Like he sort of boring, sort of prototypically obnoxious Republican senator by day, but runs around at night throwing high density explosives at people, cackling.
Yeah, I
would
see
see that. I see it too.
Lurch and Uncle Fester.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Captain Dudley Smith from LA Confidential. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, Fire Marshal Bill. That's also good.
What was the name of that actor who played Dudley Smith?
He really does look like Bill Hader. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey mask. Yeah, that's true. Also, who is the Dudley?
It's gonna drive me nuts. The
Grinch, yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna drive me crazy.
Well, LA Confidential. Let's just
James Cromwell. Jesus.
Oh, he was on my show. I had him on the show.
Did you really?
On the Katie Albert show. Yeah, we can get him on this show too.
All right. No, he's fantastic. He's
great on environmental stuff. Yeah.
Oh, well, who cares about that? He's a great actor.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we've settled that he's the Green Goblin, we got to go to the other important thing, which is do we have anything else? Do you have anything else you want to say on the abortion?
Oh, well, we have another clip related to it.
Okay.
And then we'll end with Spencer, right? So so let's talk about what the Democrats are going to do about this. And go from one Louisiana into another.
Talk about the Texas abortion ban that passed this week. The president promised a whole of government response to this bill. What can the administration do to prevent the law from being carried out? I know he's tasked the Justice Department to look at that.
He's tasked the Justice Department to look at the actual law and the options that we have there. He's tasked HHS to look at other ways to make sure that women still have the right to choose and the ability to terminate a pregnancy or have an abortion. If that's
okay, can we pause right there and rewind a little bit? Watch how he while he's saying the right to choose. Watch his and describing abortion. Watch his body language.
Look at the actual law.
It's at 17 seconds.
I think there he's tasked HHS to look at other ways to make sure that women still have the right to choose and the ability to terminate a pregnancy or have an abortion, if that's the hard decision that they choose. And then
so I just thought it was funny because it's like he's gesturing. He's like around the like he's doing kind of a uterine like.
He
like
is
location, right? Yeah.
It's instead of like whatever. It's a uterus.
It's that,
right?
Yeah, and it's around like where it would be on him.
That's actually a good thing. We should do that to each other when we're like instead of uterus like that.
Right.
That could be a sort of gang sign type of thing, right?
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Right.
So he's yeah. Okay, let's keep going and listen to what he's saying. So far he said nothing. Basically, he repeated the question that he repeated the premise of Stephanopoulos' question. Okay.
Council to also look at those. So we're going to, as an administration, look at ways to counter this law in Texas, which the president issued a statement and was very clear about the damage that decision has done. And we're going to do everything we can to try to remedy that situation for people in Texas. It is just a cruel and destructive law on the rights of women, for the rights.
Speaker Pelosi said the House is going to vote on legislation to protect the right to an abortion all across the country. Does President Biden support that? Would he sign it into law?
The president said on the campaign trail that we should codify Roe v. Wade. And to the extent that we're doing that, the president supports it.
Okay, to the extent that he just said the president already said in the campaign trail that we should codify Roe v. Wade. And to the extent that we're doing that, the president supports it. What does that mean? We're not doing it. I mean, unless he's saying that to the extent that Pelosi's going to do that, we're supporting it. But it's just it's like all he's doing is like, that was a content-free interview with just talking points, virtue signaling to both sides.
What you're basically saying there is nothing.
Yes. Nothing, yeah. Right. And shout out to David Sirota and Andrew Perez, who wrote a great piece that was at, I guess, I read in Jacobin. I assume it's in Daily Poster too, because I think they co-publish or whatever, about how the Democrats could right now do stuff to challenge Texas because they have control of everything. It's a great piece. But yeah, that was just a bullshit nothing. And he's like, if that's a terrible decision, what did he say? He says like, if that's the hard decision they choose to make.
That's the hard
decision. Yeah, but he's basically, he's appealing to the people like, oh my God, the people who I hate. Sorry, I just got a flashback to this weekend reading all these tweets about Jill Stein, Susan Sarandon, Bernie Sanders somehow being responsible for this.
Really?
And yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. And people love to pretend that Bernie Sanders is somehow bad on abortion and Hillary Clinton was this like, fearless champion. He's more pro-choice than she is. She plays the whole, she wants it to be rare. And when I say rare, I mean rare. She talks about it as like a sad choice, just like this guy did. Because
I give a little bit more of a pass to Biden because he was Catholic. So
sure.
Kind of like Dennis Kucinich, but
who's what?
Who was Catholic, who had to went through a pretty he went through a pretty public and grueling change of heart on the whole thing. But yeah, no, I mean, look, we how old are we now? I mean, like I'm like 1,000 years old now. This has been going on my whole life.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happens with this because, in my opinion, the current situation is mutually beneficial to both parties as a fundraising tool. Remember, the Democrats, this was like a core issue for them when they made their big switch to let's start taking corporate money and money from Wall Street in the late 80s, early 90s. The big strategy was, we're not going to be a labor party anymore. We're not going to oppose NAFTA. We're not going to do any of that stuff. But, we can highlight all the all the social issues that we care about. And we're going to get all the women voting for us because we're going to be fearless champions of choice, except when we're, basically talking about how we really wish there weren't going to be that many abortions.
Yeah.
But they've continued that forever. Meanwhile, the Republicans, as adept as they've always been at winning elections, they've been terrible at delivering on any core promises that have to do with social issues, especially the ones that matter a lot to the Christian right. Like they've never really gotten any movement on school prayer. They've never really gotten any movement on abortion. I'm trying to think of, pornography. Like there's a million issues where they've talked a big game and never done anything because I don't think they want to. Like whereas when they want a tax holiday, they get it. When they want to deregulate the banking industry, they do it. But on this stuff, we'll see. I just don't believe it.
I mean, what's interesting is, and by the way, someone said nice. I'm going to be petty for a second. Someone was like, "Nice point, Matt, on the fundraising." I said that earlier. Not that Matt hasn't said this before, and not that he stole his idea from me, but that's something we say a lot. So. Yeah. Oh no, you didn't. But I'm just saying, like, you should give me credit also if you're going to give Matt credit. Okay. And Teddy G, but love you. Please donate to the show. But the thing that I was going to say is that what you were saying speaks, again, going back to Sirota. Remember, he came on the show and said that, when Democrats could go after Comey Barrett, for instance, or Supreme Court nominees by highlighting how bad they are on corporations and corporate power and how bad they are for like people who aren't necessarily pro-choice, and that would be an effective way to block them. And he talks about how effective it was when Al Franken went after Gorsuch for basically ruling that someone should have died. You know, I'm talking about the guy on the, like how a company wasn't responsible legally or shouldn't be punished for firing a guy for driving away because he was going to freeze to death. Anyway, great day, Katie and Matt, refund everything. But anyway, so which is related to what you're saying, which is that a way to actually defeat these types of people, if they cared about the social issues, would ironically be focusing on the economic issues, because that's what would make them politically toxic.
Right, but they can't focus on the economic issues because they're the same as the Republicans on that stuff. So
and also they probably don't even care that much about defeating them because of that.
Yeah, I mean, not to dwell on this too much, but the reason both parties are so invested in there continuing to be this never resolved clash on issues like this is because once they did, it would reveal how exactly similar they are on all sorts of other issues like defense spending, like secrecy of intelligence funding, like, you know, there's, funding for overseas, for OPIC loans, that kind of stuff, like that. Those are the things that, the public doesn't really spend a lot of time thinking about it because they're always being fed social issues in the thresher.
Right.
So
anyway, which doesn't mean these things don't matter. It just, and again, one of Schroeder's points was like, if you care about a woman's right to choose, that's why you should be doing everything you can to expose how bad these people are in a way that reaches people. So, okay, so let's see. Final clip. We got a little useful idiots bump.
Take a look at this tweet from Vox senior correspondent Ian Millhiser. He writes, "Today is the first full day in nearly 20 years that my country is not at war. I'm grateful that President Biden had the vision to make this a reality, even though the end of the war in Afghanistan strikes many other journalists sad." Now, how would you evaluate the media's coverage of Biden's decision?
Well, first, the tweet itself is just incredibly factually wrong. The United States is not at peace today. The war on terror continues. That said, the Biden administration's withdrawal from Afghanistan is an achievement that a lot of the media has really, unfortunately, taken in a direction that shows why this war has been so disastrous and so endless. The media interpretation, by and large, of what happened in Afghanistan over these last 2 weeks, this enormous human calamity, is one that makes the calamity the responsibility of ceasing to fight the war, rather than the result of 20 years of fighting a disastrous war. That's a huge problem.
Okay, so a couple things to say here. What do we want to say? So you're welcome, Spencer, for getting you on CNN. We know what happened.
Thanks for the shout out there.
Yeah, right.
Mr. Grateful.
Yeah, seriously. You should have opened with, well, thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much to Useful Idiots for making this happen. For my entire career. Yeah. But, I mean, this is actually, I was looking for this quote last time and I couldn't find it on time, but Ian Millhiser, this is a guy who's a senior correspondent, or what's his official title at Vox? He's a senior something, saying that we're not at war, which was, I thought, an interesting tweet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the exact number is, but I remember the last time they leaked out the NDAA was, I think it was in Trump's first year, and we had active military operations in 7 different countries at that time. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure the number is still pretty high. It's also still high in Afghanistan, by the way. We still have
we're not. Yeah, exactly.
We still have lots and lots of contractors there.
A new round of refugees, but your point's well taken. And I want to get you.
But anyway, yeah. Also, Spencer, put on a blazer.
Yeah, which he didn't do for us. I think he was he kind of trying to cozy up to the, I don't know, Saturday afternoon vibe of our show, or was he just saying, like, I don't
not that we paid for our release on Saturday afternoon, but we could pretend that that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would make us feel better.
It would make us feel better. Yeah. But he does look a lot more I mean, we did go to summer camp together. Speaking of which, everyone should definitely become Substack supporters if they're not of the show, because we reveal some gems of Spencer when he's like 12 or 13. Yeah. By the way, Piers Eaton says, even by just looking on Wikipedia, you can see that the U.S. is still at war in a number of countries, such as Mozambique. Yeah, we never talk about Mozambique, by the way.
Or Niger.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
No, that's ridiculous. But most people think that. So,
yeah,
Vox, what are you going to do?
Vox senior correspondent. Yeah.
I mean, and that doesn't even count, the fact that we have drones crossing borders a gazillion times a day, flying missions, bombing people, like,
right.
how God knows how many countries our drones are flying over every single day, potentially, dropping bombs on people. We don't even count that. I mean, if we're just going by troops in country, it's already a big number. So,
right. TIC.
Mm-hmm.
Troops in country. Let's do a weekly count of that. And by the way, you don't want Useful Idiots to be a Blazer-oriented show. That may be true, actually. Maybe he was doing us a favor. Carne Verde says over 9 countries. I actually like the way I used to wear blazers actually all the time when we were taping live. I don't know why. I don't know what the correlation is, but I like the blazer.
Yeah. All right. I can do that.
Yeah. They can. Yeah. They're kind of like slimming. I think that's why. Because when it was like full body, yeah.
Well, you don't need to be doing anything to be slimming.
Oh, thank you.
Lady.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, just the camera ads. The camera. You want? Okay, is that a hint? You want me to give you my blazers? I'll give you my blazers. They'd be like boleros on you.
We can trade. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I'll wear your.
Right. All right. So that was Sunday, right?
That was Sunday. Yeah, Monday morning and Sunday morning. Yeah.
I should continue looking like a Russian. I mean, do I look like a Russian?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Wait, that's not what I'm. Where was it? I want to see you guys in Kevlar vests. Well, you'll come close to that.
I got a Kevlar. I have one.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Eritrea too. Yeah.
Everyone who gets embedded has to have one.
You guys should. What's a conquistador mask?
Oh, I think he means a helmet, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Thanks, Danny Darklighter.
Yeah, thanks, Donnie Darklighter.
Donnie Darklighter. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. All right, that was fun.
Yeah,
that was good.
That was fun. Yeah.
Good energy. I feel positive.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Right. So we will see you again later this week with another amazing episode full of hilarity and unexpected wisdom and insight.
And make sure you subscribe to usefulidiots.substack.com. You're going to get, if you do it right now, you're going to get some fresh, crispy content. Spencer Ackerman at summer camp. Also, we know you love this, guys. We really going on Obama on this one. Right, Wilson? What else is on this Substack only one? A lot of great stuff.
Also, Wilson, can we put that Gong and Rocky thing at the beginning of our show from now on?
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be the start. We also have Obama droning Pakistani kids.
Oh yeah, it's a really good one. You're gonna
only apologizing to white people.
Yes, only apologizing to white people, guys. If you oppose that, you're gonna have to become Substack supporters, and if you're not Substack supporters, you're saying that you like Obama kids. Being. They're not as bad as Yemeni kids.
They're not as bad as Yemeni kids, but there's probably too many of them. I don't know. I'm kidding, obviously.
We're being facetious. Yes,
we're being facetious. All right. Okay, so we will see you later this week, and then after that we will see you in the same spot next week after next Sunday shows.
Yes. So see you this week, not live, and then see you next week live.
At which point we can review a certain media appearance by a certain member of the Useful Idiots show. So we will leave that just there for the moment and talk to you then.
Yes. Goodbye, everybody.